it is morally bankrupt. It seems to feed off of youth of color in any kind of system where 73% of the youth are African American, the 16% are brown children, Latino children, so 90% children of color, when the data tells us very clearly that youth of all backgrounds commit offenses at similar rates.
Here in New Jersey, we have the worst Black-white youth incarceration disparity rate in the nation, with a Black child 30 times more likely than a white child to be detained or committed. In addition, we have the second worst Latino white youth incarceration disparity rate in the nation. So really in a state where we always champion how progressive we are on so many social justice issues, we're dead last in terms of being able to see Black kids as kids in need of rehabilitation rather than criminalization.
New Jersey also spends more than $280,000 per year to incarcerate each child. And part of our campaign really imagines what you could do were you to invest $280,000 in the life of a child.
So it is a failed system both from a racial perspective, from a moral perspective, but also from a financial perspective, and there's a better way to support and rehabilitate our kids.
Kids do silly things, and the response from a compassionate society, which is it's being reminded of its own youth, should lead us to treat all kids as kids who can be saved and recognize that there are no throwaway kids.
We have to take a pause and say, wait a minute, this is a child. And we need to see them as a child and treat them as a child and see them as the best person they can ever be, not the worst thing they've ever done.
So I don't think you can talk about our youth justice campaign without talking about the story of the Bordentown School. The Bordentown School was founded in 1886 by former slave Reverend Walter Rice as a boarding school originally for New Jersey's Black girls that eventually became a prestigious all-Black boarding school that was state-run.
It attracted Booker T. Washington, who founded the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, and this was called the Tuskegee of the North, based on Booker T. Washington's institute in Alabama. And this school graduated thousands of young Black minds who went on to pursue amazing careers in disciplines like the arts and as lawyers and doctors.
After Brown versus Board of Education came and the school was unable to attract white students, only attracting 2, it eventually closed. And what do we see here on the land that once housed the Tuskegee of the North, this prestigious all-Black boarding school? We see Hayes, New Jersey's only girls' youth prison.
And right across the street is the prison for boys. It's the juvenile medium secure prison. So this campus that was once the site of the pinnacle of learning for Black young people is now a prison for boys and for girls. It is literally the school-to-prison pipeline realized. So we stood a year ago outside of Jamesburg Youth Prison on its 150th anniversary year to say that 150 years of youth incarceration as a failed experiment in New Jersey is enough. And within 6 months of launching this campaign, I think that one of the most important youth justice announcements in the last generation, maybe even the last 150 years, came when Governor Chris Christie announced the closure of 2 of New Jersey's 3 youth prisons, Jamesburg School for Boys and the girls' prison, Hayes Youth Prison.
It is imperative that we make sure that on the other side of Christie's wonderful closure announcement, we have a closure plan, but we also have funding poured into community-based programs in the entire system to make sure that's a true transformation of the youth justice system here in New Jersey.
We need to be unified and fight for what the transformation looks like.
Our push is to create a community-based system of care where the default is to keep as many youth in their home communities with intensive treatment, services, wraparound services to make sure that out-of-home placement is never used in the first instance.
New Jersey is held up as a progressive state, and our desire through this campaign is really to help New Jersey realize what it means to advance social justice for the entire population of New Jersey.
People didn't raise up and ask for slavery reform. They called for abolition. They called to shut it down. And what is so powerful about this youth justice campaign is that it goes to the heart. It demands closure and transformation and restoration. It doesn't tinker around the edges.
And that really is what I think this moment requires of us, that we build campaigns around issues that have impacted our communities for generations. We build those campaigns from the ground up in a way that our elected officials, policymakers cannot ignore us, and we make them do it.
What wakes me up every morning is believing that we will see justice, we will see goodness, and we will see transformation. And it's not just some afterlife fantasy, but it's going to happen. And it happens by all of us believing, striving, and hoping for the very best in everybody.